Depressed DeCastro concerns fans. Charlie's condition up in air. First Amendment Protection Agency has tantrum at police station. Is he mature enough to take over top auditor spot from DeCastro? Angry vet reportedly attacked by police. Has fans brigade police instead of promoting veterans GoFundMe? Floyd Wallace has a new warrant, which is different than the same warrant he announced a month ago. Yes? No? Maybe? Plus, DMA dishes the dirt on prison romance, his mother, and probation. Good morning and welcome to a combined Auditing Insanity Newscast for Friday, November 8th and Saturday, November 9th, 2024. I'm Johnny Jones, and I'll be your stand-in for Jim Finch, who is still recovering from being born a human. Today we have 6 big stories, so we won't dilly-dally, and we'll ask you to focus on. The angry vet claims injuries from police attack in South Carolina. Viewers were surprised Thursday night as YouTuber The Angry Vet went live briefly to explain that he was just physically attacked by police, who let him go with a warning, and he was on his way to the hospital after apparently suffering a head injury. The Angry Vet claimed that he was in Rock Hill, South Carolina, promoting his veterans' nonprofit organization when he was approached by police who accused him of soliciting. He said that he walked briskly, then jogged away from the officers, who promptly tackled him, and he apparently hit his head. The 3 to 4 police officers took him to their lieutenant, and he explained he was in the area promoting his veterans organization on Veterans Day weekend. The lieutenant, being a fellow veteran, agreed to let him go with a verbal warning, and the angry vet was allowed to leave the police station. Staggering back to his car as the live stream began, the angry vet appeared disoriented and was visibly limping, short of breath. He eventually made it to his car, where he fumbled for some water. Telling his fans that his head hurt, he also said he didn't want to go to a hospital in the area. He had no visible signs of being hit in the face or head, but did have a familiar dazed look on his face and seemed to have trouble thinking. The angry vet's YouTube feed cut out as he was attempting to drive, and there were no more updates on his channel for the night. There have been no further updates as of Friday morning. His fans promptly began contacting the Rock Hill, South Carolina, police station to complain about his alleged assault by the police officers. Both Fraudit Wrangler and Frauditor Troll released videos on the incident, but neither had new information on his condition, nor is there anything available as of press time. We will continue to monitor the Angry Vet's channel for further updates. Denver Metro Audits holds jail Q&A live stream. YouTuber Christopher Denver Metro Audits, Cordova held a live stream Thursday night where he answered fans' questions about his recent time in jail and his plans for the future now that he will at least temporarily accept probation. Cordova had been sentenced to 15 days in federal prison after being found guilty of multiple counts from an incident at a Social Security facility in 2022. After a lengthy appeal of his sentencing, Cordova was ordered to prison last month to serve his sentence. As the federal prison system will not house someone for such a short amount of time, he was housed in a Denver area local jail for his 2-week sentencing in a maximum security area of the jail. Cordova announced that he will be bringing his attorney with him to his first probation meeting on Friday and will be contesting the terms of probation that require him to get a job. He claimed that his job as independent contractor was a real job and that even though he was ordered not to audit, he could still audit as it was part of his job. He also announced that he was challenging his probation to the 10th Circuit Appeals Court, but will cooperate with probation until then. If he loses the appeal, he'll simply violate his probation to self-revoke the probation, and that, he says, will end the probation. Threatening a lawsuit, Cordova complained loudly that he was held for 32 more hours than expected, as his 15 days of lockup became 16 days and 8 hours for unknown reasons. He intended to ask for a huge settlement based on the snafu, and that someone would have to be held responsible for the delay in his release. Also on his list was prison reform. Cordova announced that he would be leading the charge for prison reform in Colorado, as he was only allowed 1 pair of underwear and 1 pair of socks per week. He also rallied against how cold it was in jail, stating that his nipples were hard for the entire 2-week stay. The YouTuber also announced that he will be paying for all the footage from the jail that he's included in. He took notes and timestamps of whenever he was in a room with a camera, including his time on the phone, and will be submitting massive amounts of FOIA requests for the footage. Intending to produce a documentary with the footage, Cordova explained that while the financial burden will be great, he can write off all the footage as a tax write-off and game the system by profiting off his time in jail. According to Cordova, the documentary will be 90 minutes to 2 hours long, and he'll be making it professional with music and editing above anything he's done before. Moving on to general questions, he said that the jail was messing with people when he was booked, and that he's really 5 feet 7 inches and 145 pounds and not 5 feet 7 inches and 135 pounds. Cordova claimed the heaviest heat ever was when he was 185 pounds. He said that he hated being heavier than the 145-pound range because he likes speed and mobility when he's playing sports. Cordova admitted that he had severe anxiety as a child, a result of his abusive biological father, who he says physically and mentally abused his mother and himself. He admitted that he had attached mother syndrome because of the trauma they shared together and needed to take social anxiety medication to make friends in his late teenage years. The YouTuber eventually painted his time in jail as a positive, despite breaking a tooth that recently had a root canal while serving his time. He claimed that due to Christopher Direct D. Ruff's efforts, calling the jail as his non-existent boyfriend, he eventually received most of his medications. He highlighted jail as the ultimate detox, as he was alcohol-free and caffeine-free for the first time in some time and intended to stay that way. He also highlighted his time in jail as he and a partner dominated card games, winning almost every game of spades that they played. Cordova said he spent most of his time watching movies on the tablets provided by the jail system and eating commissary food. He said that he lost weight at first, but put the weight back on as soon as he had commissary services. The YouTuber stated that he wasn't remorseful for his crimes, and that it was stupid that he was punished for taking photos in a prohibited area. He reasserted that he would find a way off of probation before ending the live.
Delete Law's bizarre behavior concerns fans. A depressed Jose Chili DeCastro appeared disheveled Friday night while wearing a paint-splattered hoodie and simultaneously stating that his dog Charlie was dying and was never going to die, concerning his fans. DeCastro teased the update about his dog's health status throughout the 3-plus-hour live stream, repeating that Charlie was about to die and then catching himself and stating that Charlie would not die. He repeated the phrasing so often that his fans began to express concern for both Charlie and his owner. The YouTuber said that he spent another day crying over Charlie, who is suffering from pancreatitis, and was not clear about the dog's actual health status. At one point holding Charlie up to show how his front legs had been shaved to accommodate twin IVs. Charlie himself appeared lethargic as DeCastro held him up to the camera. Again stating both that Charlie was going to die and then that he'd never die, DeCastro eventually ended the live stream to take Charlie outside for a walk. DeCastro himself appeared distressed throughout the video, appearing disheveled and pasty and showing his age. He tried to work up his energy to rant through 3 hours worth of anti-police videos, but only showed true signs of any passion when he made misogynistic comments about female police officers. No mention was made of the $10,000 he had previously announced that he needed to come up with in 2 days, or the world's greatest GoFundMe video that he had promised fans before he could launch a GoFundMe specifically devoted to Charlie's care. As of press time, he had yet to launch the GoFundMe campaign. DeCastro again mentioned that he was going to be focusing on Twitter as a platform to show his videos and fight YouTube's censorship. He instructed his fans who were on his Patreon to abandon that platform and to become a paid member on his TeamDLZ.com website. Strangely, DeCastro made no mention of his rebranding or his First Amendment Auditor channel. The channel, currently with 408 subscribers, features 2 long-form videos and 3 shorts and was going to be the new home of DeCastro after he planned to abandon his main Delete Laws channel. The channel was also not included in his simulcast of the livestream, which was also running on his DLZ Clips and his American Patriot Forever YouTube channels. Also, as a surprise to fans, he brought back his 2-for-1 promotion on his trifold products for Friday night only. He had been previously warned by his business partner that the promotions made little sense since he was losing money doing the promotions. DeCastro is expected to go live again later on Saturday. He made $226 in super chats during Friday night's broadcast.
First Amendment Protection Agency upset by police dispatch humiliation on livestream. The man who Jose Chili DeCastro described as the greatest First Amendment auditor in the world, First Amendment Protection Agency FAPA, was triggered as went live on Friday when he made an in-person complaint about Holden, Massachusetts police officers. FAPA said he had an incident with Holden police officers the day before when he was recreating another incident involving 15-year-old auditor, First Amendment advocate. The boy auditor caught FAPA and DeCastro's attention after being detained outside a bank in Holden, Massachusetts, for standing in a roadway. The adult YouTuber encountered police in his recreation of the video, who were also called by the bank to investigate his suspicious activity. FAPA had been triggered in his encounter because of the unprofessional behavior the officers showed towards him. In particular, he was upset at one of the officers for throwing his identification on his lap when returning it instead of waiting for him to put down one of his cameras to accept the identification. FAPA explained that he was live streaming the filing of the report because he was afraid of retaliation from Holden police and his thousands of viewers would have his back. The stream topped out at 290 viewers at peak. The YouTuber entered the building and immediately went to a window marked dispatch and asked for a police officer to take his report. The dispatcher told him she'd call someone, then shut the metal blind on her window upon seeing that he was recording. A man and a woman came in for a scheduled report to police, who briefly argued with FAPA over his need to film them. FAPA smugly explaining that they were in public, and he had every right to film. The pair were quickly escorted inside a meeting room by a police officer before the argument with FAPA would continue. FAPA, who one commentator described as a cross between Logan Paul and Cyrax, was approached by Officer Consiglio of the Holden Police Force. The officer watched portions of FAPA's edited video of the incident before leaving to get FAPA a complaint form. When the officer returned, he upset FAPA by stating that he did not see enough in the video to put the events of the previous day in context. He added that he'd need to talk to the officers involved in the incident to get their side of the story before making up his mind. FAPA returned to his car, which was parked at a local restaurant, and spent 20-plus minutes filling out the complaint form and proclaiming himself the perfect auditor, with no regrets about anything he's ever done. He also challenged how much money members of his chat made as they couldn't compare to him. Finally, he stated that he was the nicest person outside of auditing, and everyone who met him agreed on that. Returning to the building, the nicest person became triggered when he approached the dispatch window, and the woman working the window refused to give him her full name, stating that she was not required to do that. Triggered, FAPA angrily threatened that he was going to do a FOIA request for her name and her salary and whatever else about her that his chat could come up with. Officer Consiglio returned to get FAPA's complaint and explained that the dispatchers were not part of the police force and affirmed the fact that their policy does not require them to identify themselves to the public. FAPA heard someone say the name, Isabella, and mockingly began to refer to the dispatcher by that name before deciding to end his live stream. It is unclear if FAPA carried out his threat to FOIA request the dispatcher's name and other information. FAPA also confirmed during the live stream that he had sent multiple emails to the teenage First Amendment advocate and offered a joint auditing session. First Amendment advocate had not responded to him as of press time. Floyd Wallace announces New Mexico warrant. Viewers of Floyd Wallace's Friday livestream had familiar news, as the YouTuber started his show with good news and bad news for his viewers, with the bad news being something he had apparently announced back in October. Wallace started with the good news that his probation should be over in January, if only he can raise the $180 that he needed to pay off his probation fees. A quick check of the provided link by Wallace showed that he had an overall debt of $230 with the previous $40 that had been marked delinquent now gone from the account. The YouTuber would devote the remainder of the broadcast to taking in Cash App donations to this goal, though his fans didn't quite get the hint of the immediate need for money. As usual, he charged his fans to answer questions, and instead of using his Cash App, which would pay him immediately, the majority of those asking questions asked through YouTube Super Chats, which won't hit his account until late December. Because of this real or imagined disregarding of his need for an immediate payout, by the end of the show Wallace had raised $2 in actual donations to go towards his immediate need for money. Turning to his bad news, Wallace informed his fans that he had just heard from his probation officer who informed him that he had a new warrant out of New Mexico on unknown charges. Wallace explained that this was a pocket warrant for his arrest in the state, and he thought that it was somehow related to his auditing activities. There was some confusion as Wallace had previously started a live stream with the same news, that his probation officer informed him of a new warrant out of New Mexico back on October 2nd, 2024. It's unclear if this was a new warrant or if it was the same warrant, and Wallace had just forgotten that he had used the previous story to fundraise in the past. In either case, Wallace implored his fans to give towards his goal, so the warrant or warrants would not interfere with his current probation. Wallace again addressed his upcoming November 12th hearing in Oklahoma. Repeating what he said on past live streams, Wallace asserted that he'd only accept a blind plea deal from the judge if it was beneficial to him. He claimed that he could reject the deal, and then his new trial date would be in March of next year. Instead of sharing his previous plans of going on another sex tour while waiting for that trial, Wallace said that he now is not leaving the country until he gets all his legal matters settled. He claimed he was down to his probation out of Texas, his pending trial in Oklahoma, and the new warrant out of New Mexico to clear up before he would be free of the legal system. Wallace engaged in several ideas to earn money during his live stream, including wearing a MAGA hat and t-shirt and cleaning what appeared to be black mold off the wall behind him. He turned down both offers from his fans as he did not own MAGA clothing, and he was afraid that the bleach he owned would have stained the wall and cost him his security deposit. The YouTuber is set to lose his apartment at the end of the year when his lease expires. His current landlord has declined to renew the lease. Wallace has yet to find a new apartment. The angry vet update misses opportunity to fundraise. At the start of Veterans Day weekend, and after allegedly being arrested for soliciting for promoting his veterans' nonprofit organization, YouTuber The Angry Vet took his mass exposure and opportunity for growth to brigade the police instead of promoting his GoFundMe related to his fundraising efforts. The Angry Vet wrote on his YouTube community page. Important links are listed below. If you know of any more, please post them in the pinned comment below. On November 7th, 2024, I was on my way home from a SCARS501.org relief mission when I stopped in a little town named Rock Hill, South Carolina. While I was there, I decided to stop at the City Hall and advocate for homeless veterans for this upcoming Veterans Day weekend. I was also planning to attend the city's celebration for veterans. While doing so, I had at least half a dozen marked and unmarked police vehicles drive by. All but one refused to acknowledge me, even after having made eye contact with me. Then I decided to change locations and found a spot on the main drag in front of a Jimmy John's where I met a homeless man that was being harassed by the police, so I paid it forward and gave him a few dollars. Shortly after that, my battery died, so I changed batteries and headed down to the police station to do the same thing, which conveniently was during some kind of shift change. Police officers were coming and going non-stop, both in marked units and in personal vehicles, 8 or more in total, with only 2 of them even waving, acknowledging my presence by waving to me, so I decided to leave and head over to the library. Well, I never made it there because as I reached the opposite side of the crosswalk, approximately 4 police officers started running me down and eventually talked me, immediately cuffed me, and told me I was under arrest. As I protested this, they said I wasn't listening to their orders. When they finally told me what I was being arrested for, they said it was for soliciting, and they turned my camera off, and that they received reports that a homeless man was begging for money. When they found out that I was a veteran and that I wasn't homeless, they uncuffed me and forced me to identify myself under duress and threat of arrest. After what I had just experienced, I believed every threat these tyrants made, and I complied with their unlawful commands. And that's when they gave me back my camera and hat back, but tried to keep my sign cause it was borderline soliciting. So I started recording again, and they all got attitudes with me and decided to double down on their ignorance by laughing at me, as if unlawfully arresting me and assaulting me wasn't enough. They have turned off Google reviews, but I have added a Facebook link in case you want to voice your opinion in this matter. Perhaps out of rage, perhaps out of lack of experience in dealing with great amounts of attention, instead of promoting his fundraising efforts, which would have benefited from all the eyes on his case. As Angry Vet did not give out the link to his GoFundMe, in order to put the focus on his cause on the very weekend designed for people to remember veterans from around the world, he literally blew his best opportunity to fundraise for the cause he claims he's devoted his life to. A simple link to GoFundMe or his PayPal, Cash App, or other cash intake application would have been seen by thousands more people than normal and may have turned a horrible incident into an opportunity to make money for veterans relief. Instead, he blew the opportunity to promote his cause and instead sought out personal vengeance on the police. With his reputation being what it is, with even Annapolis Audit/Taco Terry quitting then denouncing his organization, and his alleged beating by police not drawing the attention of expert GoFundMe promoter Jose Chili DeCastro, the lost opportunity may haunt his organization moving forward. The market itself was flat for a second day on Friday, with no new donations across the board. Neither the Angry Vet's high-profile exposure nor Christopher Denver Metro Audits, court of his release from prison were enough to jump-start the market. Jose Chili DeCastro's promised return and immediate need for $10,000 also did not materialize by the end of the week, leaving few high-profile causes to support for the entire market. We still need your help. Despite the GoFundMe market being dead, this publication is funded by your donations along with what little we make from our YouTube channel per month. While we did achieve full monetization on YouTube, we still need help to get through monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and the newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All donations literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos, like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in. And we're back. Jim wanted to pass on the fact that there are no live streams scheduled for this weekend as he catches up on some artwork he needs to finish and will be attending a combined birthday party for his niece and his mother later today. Our live chats will be back Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. where it counts, 1 p.m. in Mountain Time, and 12 p.m. for those on the West Coast. And we'll be back tomorrow morning with another edition of this wonderful newscast. Hope to see you soon.